Bulls Nation, today we had a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers and what many people thought would be a winnable game for the Chicago Bulls. However, from the start to the finish, the Cleveland Cavaliers had the upper edge in majority of stats within this game. So as frustrating as this loss is, it's time to take a deep dive between the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers and what truly went wrong for the Chicago Bulls in this game. So without further ado, let's look at the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers in this video. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls versus Cleveland Cavaliers game reaction. The Chicago Bulls had a very winnable game in this game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. However, the poor performances by the Bulls and the more intensity the Cleveland Cavaliers had is what ended up getting the victory for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and what yet again is another bad loss for the Chicago Bulls, and it breaks the record for the under 500 teams that we have beaten. We have finally lost one, and it was to the Cleveland Cavaliers. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below, where do the Bulls go from here? We have one day left, I believe, at the trade deadline. We don't have that much time to make something happen of ourselves, and it looks more likely every single day that this team is going to be remaining the same for the rest of the season. The game today, the Chicago Bulls lost this game 103-94. Again, the Cleveland Cavaliers had the better intensity, the better defensive drive, and the overall better presence within this game on the rebounds, less turnovers. You could name almost every single stat, and I could guarantee you Cleveland Cavaliers were very close, if not above, the Chicago Bulls in every single stat. And it showed in this game. There are many things that could be determined to why we lost this game. I thought from the very first quarter to the fourth quarter of this game, we were not better than the Cleveland Cavaliers. I truly thought we were lucky to tie the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first quarter. That's how bad our first quarter was. I believe this entire game, Cleveland had the upper edge. The saddest part about this was they didn't have Colin Sexton for this game. Their best player was not playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they still ended up running rampage over the Chicago Bulls. I thought one of those games, the Chicago Bulls didn't come out ready to play. They really didn't. I didn't see too much intensity at all. And once again, it's inconsistencies within the quarters. It really is. I want to give you an example here, and this is our best player I'm going to be talking about. Zach LaVine had a terrific first half, ended up getting a buzzer beater in the first quarter, did a walk off the court as well. The dude was balling out in the first quarter, second quarter as well. When did he get his first points for the second half? Late in the fourth quarter. Zach LaVine didn't get a point in the entire third quarter, and he didn't get a point till around halfway through the fourth quarter. That is something that is inconsistent among all of our players. All of our players are known to do this, where they could go off in the first half and you will not see them again until crunch time. It happens to all of our players. So again, this just goes to show the Chicago Bulls are massively inconsistent, and I don't know how we're going to solve this. I don't know if we can solve this, but it's another frustrating performance from this team, from the Chicago Bulls, knowing how inconsistent we are, how good we can be, and how badly we can be at times. It is very frustrating, and in this game is another example of that. And this is the detriment of changing up the team. It's also a detriment of having such a young team, that you're going to see performances, inconsistencies from everybody around this team. It is extremely frustrating to see that. And again, I don't think anybody played tremendously well. I truly believe that. Out of all the players today, I don't believe anybody had a tremendously great game. There were some good games, but no one really stood out. And again, this is why we lost. This is why we only scored 94 points. I don't know how we're going to fix this. We have a day to make a trade. I still don't think we're making a trade. I've been saying it all year. I don't think the Bulls will be making a trade this season. And we have one day to prove me wrong. So all I can say is fingers crossed. Whatever the change is, I'll have to support it. But I definitely think this team needs a little bit of a switch up. We can't keep it the same, because we are slipping away from where we want to be. And unfortunately, with games like this against competition that you should be beating, Cleveland Cavaliers with no Colin Sexton is a team you should be beating. That's no excuse to lose to a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers with Colin Sexton. They played tremendously well, and again, they're an okay side, but The Chicago Bulls need to take advantage of games like this, and today was the first time where we versed an under 500 record team this season, I believe, and we've lost. So we have taken advantage more often than not with games like this, but today was an example of us not doing that. And it's because of our inconsistency. It's also because of our turnovers. From the very first quarter, you had 5 or 6 turnovers in the first quarter. You had, I believe, well beyond what Cleveland Cavaliers had in turnovers. Cleveland Cavaliers is the second most turnover team in the NBA. We're the first. But what you saw from this game was the Chicago Bulls running away with turnovers and Cleveland limiting their turnovers. And that was another big difference in today's game. There were a bunch of them. And to be honest, it's not something... This is a game I just want to forget. I want to get it out of my mind. I don't want to revisit this game once it's over. Once it is over, after this video, I don't really want to think about this game anymore. I just want to move on to the next one because I feel like the Bulls was just really bad today. And again, I can't hide from that, and I'm not going to deny it. We are slipping away from the team that we want to be. We're going back into old habits of no ball movement, stagnant offense, give it to Zach LaVine and see what happens. We are going into bad habits. We're relapsing into the team that we were with Jim Boylan. And I know many people don't see it, or many people don't even want to say it, but that's the truth of the matter. We are relapsing into the team that we were last season. And that is something that shouldn't be allowed to happen. But at the end of the day, how are we going to change it? That's up to the coach. It's up to the players to be fully committed to that change. At the end of the day, if we make the playoffs or not, that's up to time and that's up to the results. But the fact of the matter is, I'm watching a Jim Boylan team right now. I don't believe I'm watching a Billy Donovan team when I watched that game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was a Jim Boylan performance if I ever saw one. So again, it is what it is. I'm not going to bash this team too much because again, I just want to forget this game. I just want to get it out of my mind. But we are relapsing, and it's up to the Chicago Bulls to find a way to bounce back from such terrible losses. The Utah Jazz game was a pretty bad loss. The Cleveland Cavaliers game, despite being single digits, was a pretty bad loss considering the circumstances. So, very, 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 very frustrating performances from the Chicago Bulls. Let's go into the box score, and I'm not going to name too many things in this, to be honest. There's not really too much to say. Only going to mention a few players. Larry Markkinen, 17 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. I think out of everybody in today's game, Larry Markkinen was probably the standout guy. I got a lot of his points were from the paint, especially when you have a player like Jarrett Allen in that starting lineup for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who is a known and very, very good rim protector, a very good defensive presence. Out of everybody in this team, Larry Markkinen was the only one to attack him consistently, and that's how he got his 17 points. At the end of the day, you shouldn't be concerned about how many blocks Jarrett Allen gets on the Chicago Bulls. You should be focusing on get the right shots for the right players. Unfortunately, we cannot find our living off the three-point line. We're not the Golden State Warriors. We're not the Portland Trailblazers. We're not the Dallas Mavericks. Whichever team has high percentage of three-pointers. We're not the Lakers. We're none of these teams. We cannot make our living off of just threes. And it's as simple as that. We don't have the caliber of players to shoot threes every single possession and win games. We need to attack the paint. And the Cleveland Cavaliers had a massive advantage in points in the paint in the second half. In the first half, it was even. It was only a 2-point differential. In the second half, the Cleveland Cavaliers dominated in the paint, and we tried to make our living off of the three and mid-ranges, and it didn't work. We need to be a team that attacks the paint. The centers to the guards have to be aggressive. I don't care if Jarrett Allen has 10 blocks, like what Rudy Gobert had against us last game. He had 9 blocks. I don't care. You need to attack that paint. That's how we get our buckets. That's how we get our shot selection. And that's how everything works for this team. You go into the paint, defense crumbles, open three. Simple as that. Take it into the paint, shot in the paint. Most people are going to accept a layup or a dunk in the paint over a contested three-point shot. So we need to be that type of team, and we're not seeing it enough. But Larry Markkinen did that consistently, which is something I'm very happy to see. And I think it deserves that. I think it deserves the game that he had. And I really thought he was our best player today, to be honest. Thaddeus Young, 8 points, 1 assist, 5 rebounds. Not the best game from Thaddeus Young. I think we could say that. Again, he's not playing a lot of minutes. He's only played 21 minutes today against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I don't notice it until I see it myself. But I don't think he missed a shot until the second half of the game. So I would have liked to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I can't say this has been a normal game for Thaddeus Young. Normally I see him being aggressive, making passes. This was not his best game. I think we can all say that with honesty about it. This is not Thaddeus Young's best game. It's up to him to change that. And again, out of everybody on this team, I trust Thaddeus Young to bounce back more than anybody. But we're going to have to wait and see how that goes against our next team, which will be a very big game in my opinion. Zach LaVine, 22 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Once again, I'm very upset with Zach LaVine's performance today, not because of the stat line. I thought the stat line is not too bad from Zach LaVine. I know he could do 10 times better than what he did, but I'm very upset with the fact that he didn't have a second half point until late in the fourth quarter. This is our best player. This is a player that is our first scoring option, and he's not taking a shot, or he's not making a shot until the fourth quarter. That is upsetting. I know the first half he played so well, tremendously well. In the second half, he went missing. That is something we can't see. We're not in a position to have our best player go missing for a quarter. We're just not in that position to be that team. If AD didn't score for the Lakers for until the third quarter, most of the time you could probably get away with that because of how good the Lakers are. Same with the Clippers, same with the Bucks, same with the Utah Jazz, same with the Denver Nuggets. These things are allowed to happen to those types of teams because they have the quality around them to be able to compromise and to be able to compensate for a bad performance. We don't have that. Unfortunately, we don't have a good second option on this team. We don't have really a third option either. What we do have is Zach LaVine, who's been the most consistent scorer on this team. So when he goes missing, this team will go missing. And unfortunately, in that third quarter, Zach LaVine went missing, this team went missing. And that's why we had as bad of a game as we did, only scoring 94 points. That's not good enough for a team of this caliber. Satoransky, 11 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. I thought Satoransky played all right. That's pretty much all I could say. He's been very consistent in the way that he's playing. He's usually getting these sorts of stat lines. I think he's rightfully the starting point guard, even after a game like this. But it's not been the best. So in the end, you just have to take it on the chin. Kobe White, 11 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Kobe White, in my opinion, is short of confidence, to be honest. And a game like this is not a bad game for Kobe White whatsoever, but it's definitely not the best for 26 minutes played. And I really feel like he doesn't know the shot selection he should be taking. There was a time in this game where he tried to do a size up on Larry Nance Jr. Not really being successful at it, he still took the shot anyway and was easily blocked by a player that's 6'10". So that's definitely something in the game that I remember fondly, and it's something that I'll probably remember for a while because I know Kobe White is better than what he's showing. But unfortunately, a game like this, not a bad game from Kobe White, but I know he could do so much better than that. So in the end, we're waiting for Kobe White to develop, and it's only his second season. So I'm not going to be on that bandwagon to trade Kobe White because I don't believe that. I don't believe we should trade Kobe White. And in the end, I could be proven wrong, or I could be proven right. But at this point in time, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon because everybody else is. I truly believe in Kobe White, so I want to see him succeed here. And it's up to him to succeed here. It's all on him. He has the capabilities, he has the talent, he has the potential. It's up to him to find it and use it in the correct way. And then we might see a little bit more out of Kobe White on a consistent basis. The last player I'm going to mention, Wendell Carter, 7 points, 1 assist, 9 rebounds. Arguably our best bench player, which is not terrific, to be honest, because I don't think this was a massively good game from Wendell Carter. I actually thought it was one of his worst offensive games until the second quarter where he really stood out. But regardless of that, for 22 minutes played, getting a nearly double-double, I can't complain about Wendell Carter's performance today at all, considering the rest of the bench wasn't terrific either. This bench has been very dreadful since those changes of Thaddeus Young and Satoransky. If I had to guess, I would put one of them back to the bench, to be honest. I'm not sure who it would be. In my opinion, it would probably be put Thaddeus Young back to the bench because we need some bench scoring. We just don't have enough. So unless we make an adjustment, putting Zach LaVine with the bench unit, putting Larry Marketing with the bench unit, finding some scoring within our bench, we need to make another change in our starting lineup, in my opinion. So regardless of that, at the end of the day, we need a better bench. We need better consistency. We need better quarters. We need a lot of things on this team. And in the end, it's something that I don't think we're going to be seeing for quite some time, and maybe even till the next season. We have a lot of work to do if we're going to get into that playoff picture. There are teams above us and teams below us that will be fighting much harder than the way that we fought tonight. So in the end, the Bulls need that backbone. The Bulls need someone that will take it personally. The Bulls need someone that will end up fighting every single game. And I don't know if we have that at the moment. I really, really don't know if we have that. But we need to find it from somewhere. Whether it's the coach's motivation or at least one player saying, you know what, screw this. We're going to get there. And I don't care how we're going to get there, but we're going to do it. Take it personally. Play aggressive. We're not seeing it enough. The must improve, I mean, anybody on that bench, to be honest, who could be considered a must improve player. Really, truly, and honestly. Even Patrick Williams could be considered one. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not going to be bothered naming one. At the end of the day, you can look at the box score yourself. You can see so many players didn't play well. Otto Porter didn't have a terrific game. Wendell Carter's game was okay. Patrick Williams, 32 minutes played, only 5 points. He didn't score in the first half. At the end of the day, this team has so much work to do, and everybody must improve. I will pick Patrick Williams from the starting lineup, but pick anybody you like, really, because there's validation. You could pick Zach LaVine if you want for not showing up in the second half. You could pick a bunch of people for must improve. I'll just pick Patrick Williams because I have to pick somebody. I don't really have a reason why. I'm picking him because I don't know. The Bulls record, or the player of the game, sorry. I mean, I'm going to pick Larry Markkinen. I don't think Zach LaVine played well. I really don't. I know he had the 22 points, but I'm sorry, I don't think Zach LaVine had a terrific game. I thought Larry Markkinen was the most consistent player on the team today, and it's a shame that he's the one that's being put in trade talks. But again, if it requires a change and Larry Markkinen needs to be the one to leave, I need to see change in this team. I don't see this team progressing from what we've seen today. The Utah Jazz, a bunch of teams, I just don't see that progression anymore. The Bulls record is 19-24. We are slipping away. I want to see where we are in the standings, so bear with me for 1 second. I believe we are 10th now. The Indiana Pacers did overtake us, so we're still in that playoff bracket. But again, Cleveland, another team that's going to be fighting. Toronto, another team that's going to be fighting. Even the Wizards are a team that could be fighting. The Boston Celtics are a team that should be fighting. From 7 to probably 13, we should be very worried about, because in the end, we can fall to 11. We can fall to 12. We did it last season. We could do it again this season. Are we a better team than last season? I truly 100% in my soul believe we are. But if you don't show it consistently, or you relapse into old performances every now and then, it doesn't matter how good you are. Your job now is to make the playoffs. Billy Donovan has said we're chasing the playoffs. Artorias wants to make the playoffs. This is a development season for this team. The only way to develop, in my opinion, is to get into that playoff position. And if you fail to do so, then in my opinion, it's a failure of a season. So in the end, we may see progression from our players, but it's not going to matter if you don't make the playoffs. There's no point in progressing if you progress to nowhere. That's just the way that I see it at this point in time. Our next game is against the San Antonio Spurs. You guys remember fondly, I got a lot of views for that game, that ranting game against the San Antonio Spurs. And 100%, that was probably the lowest point I've felt this season as a Chicago Bulls fan. Definitely lower than this game right here. But I'm not sure if DeMar DeRozan plays this game or not. Again, I haven't kept up with the Spurs. I'm sure you guys will be able to see that when we play the San Antonio Spurs. But this is a game that I truly feel the Chicago Bulls should take personally after what happened to them in Chicago when the San Antonio Spurs came back from 23 points down to win that game in the second half. That is an annoyance of a game. That's a game that's unacceptable in many circumstances and is very unacceptable, in my opinion, to happen this season. So I want this game to be a revenge game, but I truly in my soul don't believe we're going to win this game. But again, this is the negativity that the Chicago Bulls have brought to me since the beginning of the second half of the season. From the very beginning, I felt negative things towards this team. I felt after the 76ers game, after the Miami game, after the Cleveland game now, the Utah game, the Denver game, the Spurs game. There are so many instances where we have lost so badly that it is bringing negative feelings out of me about this team. I don't feel happy watching this team anymore. I'm just being honest. And I know that's not a good thing to say. And I'm very passionate about the Bulls. I will watch every game. I'll be happy when we win. I'll be sad when we lose. That's just how it goes. But at this point in time, watching the Chicago Bulls games and watching the way that we play is not making me happy. And that's what NBA is all about, isn't it? It's about being happy with your team. It's about supporting your team. And I'll support my team, but I'm not happy with it. So in the end, it's up to the Bulls to change that. One win's not going to do it. We need consistent wins. And look at the games that we have. The Spurs, the Warriors, the Suns, the Jazz, the Nets, the Pacers. Where are we going to find our win from? We have to start beating good teams. And in the end, we've afforded a loss to a Cleveland Cavaliers team that really takes us to a massive disadvantage. The next winnable game, in my opinion, is the Raptors, and that's the 9th of April for me, the 8th of April for you. That's the next winnable game, I truly believe, or maybe the Pacers above it on the 7th. So, or the 8th, again, the 8th, the 7th for me, the 6th for you guys in the United States, if you are from there. So, that's the next winnable game, the game that I believe we're the favourites in to win. We can beat the good teams, but we haven't done it this season, so I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'm sorry for the long video. In the end, when you're frustrated, just have to rant it out a bit, don't you? And that's what the last 5 minutes of this video has been, just me ranting about it. So, yeah, tough loss tonight. It's a loss that shouldn't have happened, but in the end, when you get outplayed, you get outplayed. Fair play to Cleveland. If there are any Cleveland Cavaliers fans watching this and it even stuck to the end, respect to your team. You outplayed us by every single possession, every single stat you could think of. I bet you the Cleveland Cavaliers outplayed us in all of them. So fair play to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, this is a game the Bulls should have won and we didn't. And now we have a ridiculously hard road trip from the West to deal with. So hopefully we can end up just pulling some miracles out of nowhere. That's the only way we're going to really stay in this. Have a wonderful day. Take care. And peace.